So Republicans are having a little bit of a conniption over recent statements made by former Obama Attorney General Eric Holder. Now, Holder, while campaigning for Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, said something that was so completely beyond the pale when it comes to how Democrats should conduct themselves against Republicans, that the conservatives are melting down. So I'm going to show you this video, and be careful. You might need a little bit of a trigger warning if you're a Republican. Watch.
They have used the power that they have gotten for all the wrong things. They want to keep themselves in power. They want to cater to the special interests. It is time for us as Democrats to be as tough as they are, to be as dedicated as they are, to be as committed as they are. Michelle always says, Michelle Obama, I love her, you know, she and my wife like really tight, which always scares me and Barack. But Michelle always says that, you know, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick. That's what this new Democratic Party is about. We're proud as hell to be Democrats. We're going to fight for the ideals of the Democratic Party. We're proud of our history. We're proud of our present, and we're proud of the future that we can create for this country.
You got to kick them. You got to kick them. I mean, no longer are we doing this. Michelle Obama, oh, when we go, you know, when they go low, we go high, right? No, he said when they go low, we got to kick them. We got to kick him. You know what? Good. He also says they've tried to racially gerrymander. They've tried to partisan gerrymander. They want to keep themselves in power. They want to cater to special interests. And also added, we're in this to win. And the reality is, if we don't win, people who are less committed, less idealistic, less imbued with the values that make this nation really great will run the country. And that, of course, is what's happening right now. So now, of course, how does Fox News handle this? About as much as you would expect. About as well as you'd expect. Earlier, when they were talking with President Donald Trump on Fox and Friends, Trump said, quote, "They have to be careful with the rhetoric because it is very dangerous what Holder says. He's got some problems. I don't see him running for president. If he did run, I think he would get gobbled up before he even gets to the election itself. I think the primaries would gobble him up." So, okay. So, first he goes into, I think it's dangerous, and then immediately goes into spinning for elections. Yeah, okay. Sure. Look, what he says about the primaries, he actually might be correct. Eric Holder has got a lot of problems from a progressive perspective. And so, like me personally, I would not be in favor of an Eric Holder run, right? Because I think when it comes to policy, he is way too centrist. He is way too corporate. He is your establishment politician. He's establishment through and through, right? That said, I love this. I actually agree 100% with what he's saying. And look, as far as, okay, dangerous rhetoric, right? So the Republicans are calling this dangerous. And I'm going to give you another example here from another conservative writer. But before I do that, let me tell you what's dangerous. You want to tell, you are telling people to, I mean, you're saying at rallies, lock her up. Lock her up. Lock her up. Those chants are still happening. They've been happening for the last couple of years. So you're going to talk about, oh, such dangerous, divisive rhetoric. Violent. Yes, they even mentioned violent. Well, you want to talk about violent rhetoric. Okay, well, let's go to something, a few things that Donald Trump has said. At a rally on February 1st, 2016, Trump said, "If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously, okay? Just knock the hell. I promise you. I will pay for the legal fees. I promise. I promise." So here you're saying, oh, beat him up. Beat him up. Punch him in the face. Punch him in the face. In fact, At a Las Vegas rally later that month, Trump said security guards were too nice to a protester. He said, quote, he's walking out with big high fives, smiling, laughing. I'd like to punch him in the face. I'll tell you. Well, now, wait a minute. What talking about that rhetoric, man, that dangerous rhetoric. Well, that's weird. So somehow kick him in a political sense is dangerous rhetoric. But when it comes to punch him in the face, I'd like to punch him in the face. A protester, and by the way, protesters have been punched in the face at Trump rallies. That's fine. Perfectly fine. Perfectly okay. Now, there was another situation that happened at a rally that same month in Warren, Michigan. Another protester who's being escorted out, quote, get him out. Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. Don't worry about it. You want to talk about violent rhetoric, man. You want to talk about actual violence. That's violence. And again, that's not even what Eric Holder is saying. Eric Holder is saying, hey, you know what we should do? We should get tough on Republicans. But the Republicans right now, they are attempting to gaslight us at this very moment. We have Republicans now talking about how scary it is to be a conservative because there are, quote, mobs of angry leftists. Angry mobs. That's what they're talking about. You've got Rand Paul's wife talking about how she sleeps with a gun because she's afraid of the liberals breaking into her house and murdering her. As if, right? But wait a minute. There's two schools of thought here. I thought, according to the conservatives, according to a lot of these Republicans, these alt-righters, Trump supporters, that liberals were nothing more than pussy hat wearing, entitled weak buttercup snowflake beta cucks. Well, if you're scared of something like that, if you're scared as the rest of these Republicans are, well, what does that make you? What does that make you? King cuck? Probably. In reality, the rhetoric, the only rhetoric that has caused real harm has been from the right wing. And it has literally killed someone. Remember Heather Heyer. Heather Heyer was murdered at a Charlottesville rally when a member of the alt-right, spurred on by Donald Trump and the rest of these hideous, loathsome right-wingers, was, drove into a crowd full of protesters. Heather Heyer. So, come on. That's the reality of the situation. Nonetheless, they're going to continue to lie about this. Ryan Saavedra of the Daily Wire writes about this, quote, the violent rhetoric from Holder comes at approximately the same time as two-time failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton used similar rhetoric in an interview with CNN. So I'm going to read her statement, and we're going to see if it's similar at all, right? Quote, this is from Hillary. You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we're fortunate enough to win back the House and the Senate, that's when civility can start again. But until then, the only thing that the Republicans seem to recognize and respect is strength. So is that a call for violence? Is that violent rhetoric? No, that's not even close to being violent rhetoric. I actually agree with Hillary Clinton, of all people, on that. She's right. When she called them deplorables, she was absolutely fucking right. There are people on the right that are deeply terrible people. And look, I'm not saying that everybody on the right is that kind of person. But at this point, if you are still with Donald Trump, and you are still saying things like, oh, fucking kill the libtards, then you are a horrible person. And if you are getting upset over this, and there's two things, right? So there are the, pundits on the right that get paid to put out propaganda, push propaganda. They don't fucking believe this. They don't believe that this is violent. They know what they're doing. They're just making tons of money from doing it. And doing what? Riling you up. You're a conservative, they are riling you up, and they are getting you afraid so that you will come to the polls. This whole idea about, oh, it's the left-wing mobs. They're coming for you. It's to get you to the polls. It works every fucking time. The Republican Party operates on fear. But again, I'm going to agree with both Holder and Hillary in saying, yes, we do have to be strong. And we have to be principled. I'm going to add that. Now, what I mean by principled is different from what Hillary Clinton means by principle. Right? I think we need to be principled and strong when it comes to policy issues like Medicare for all, free college, and, a living wage. These are things that Hillary Clinton has not been strong about. And let's be very, very clear on that. Okay? Very, very clear on being strong about policy, which is what I advocate for. We need to be strong in pushing a real progressive vision. And that's what I mean by fight back. Fight back against the bullshit. And also fight back by saying, here's our vision. Here's what we want to do when we get into power. Here's the kind of policies that I want to push. As a progressive. Free college, Medicare for all, etc. Right? Now, again, these are things that Hillary Clinton is not strong about, and therefore she herself is a terrible messenger for this. And I'll also argue that Eric Holder is also a terrible messenger for this. Right? Because really, in reality, Hillary Clinton hasn't been strong about anything except for maybe defending the banks and defending the status quo. But you see what they're doing on the right. For years and years, during the Obama administration, I've covered a lot of stories where the right wing does actual violent rhetoric that leads to actual violence. Right-wing domestic terror groups now in America have killed more Americans than terrorists. More than 9/11. Yet when Eric Holder says, oh, we need to be tough and, not physically, not literally kick Republicans when they're down, the right flips out and they play the victim card. Because really, in reality, that's all they have. That is the playbook, man. Eric Holder has nothing to apologize for. And I'm going to add that, we should not be playing this on Republican terms. But of course, here we go. You've got Michelle Obama already out there saying, I disagree strongly with Eric Holder with those statements. And let me guess, there's going to be a lot of Democrats that follow the same mantra. So we're going to keep playing this civility bullshit while Republicans continue to politically punch us in the face. They have all the power, and they have no problem steamrolling the rest of the country when it comes to their policies that only help the rich and corporations. I say we hit back. I say we hit back hard. And what do I mean by that? Again, I don't mean anything physical. So go ahead and try to take me out of context, right-wingers. I fucking dare you. Right? No, what I mean, we run ads on Republican hypocrisy and corruption. Definitely go after their corruption. And, of course, when you're talking local races, support of Donald Trump. Go after them when it comes to Kavanaugh and basically point out how Republicans don't believe sexual assault victims. That does not play very well with the American public. How Republicans don't believe that everybody should have health care. That healthcare, they don't believe that healthcare is a human right. They don't believe that people should be able to, go to college without graduating with a mountain of debt. They don't believe that people should be able to go to work and actually make enough to survive off that job. That's what they believe in. And it's time we start hitting them with that. With their own words, with their own statements, with their own policies. Ad after ad after ad. Hit them with the corruption. Hit them with the corruption. Because if it's one thing the American people can't stand, it is the massive corruption in Washington. Again, the swamp is still there, and it's bigger than ever. And it's enabled by these Republican politicians and by Donald Trump himself. It's about time we start hitting them on that and stop being so civil. We've got to be tough. Show up at their offices, do civil disobedience. Because if it's one thing that they cannot stand and don't know how to deal with, it's Democrats actually being tough for a change and holding them accountable for both their terrible votes and their terrible rhetoric. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.